can ask it. You can cut me off too. It doesn't matter. But if you have any questions, like I said, just ask them, or you could even just pop in the chat if you have a question, and then I'll just get to you. Okay, so essentially what we have done is we have taken strategies that we like to trade and we have programmed them into indicators. So like right here, this is, so I don't know if you guys have seen when I was trading with my VIP group, we had the VIP live trading in the morning. This is the model that we were looking for. And so what I used to have to do is I would take a certain range or a certain level and I'd go and back test it. And so I'd put it in Excel, I'd go back whatever, a month, 2 months, and I had a solid system. And so the system was working well, but then after like maybe a couple weeks it'd fall off. And so I'd have to test a new time and a new range, and then I'll back test that. And then that would work pretty good for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then it would fall apart again. And so I was getting kind of frustrated because I was having to do all kinds of like basically manual labor, sitting there on Excel all day, just to find the most profitable area. And so what we've built now is essentially that. So it will back test for you. So I want you to see here. So if we're on the 5 minute and there's only so much data available, you can see the dashboard here. So it tells you which model we're trading. So we're trading the D1 VIP model. And so over the last 14 trades, we have a 71% win rate with a 2.1 profit factor. Now, before we get into it, I'll just want to teach you a little bit on profit factor. And so as far as win rate, we want 50% or better. I'll still take some that are 45 or 30, depending on the profit rate, but that's just rule of thumb. And then for profit factor, we want at least a 1.5 or greater. We really could say 1.5 to 2.0, 2.0 for the swing systems for sure. Now, if we have a system that meets this criteria, those have been the best stats we're getting as far as performance. Because like I said, it's more of like trend following. You're doing what's working right now. So right here, you could see this strategy, and I guess I'll go ahead and just break it down to you guys, is the beginning of the day, and then we're looking for ranges off of that. So what it's doing is it's measuring this range. So if I want to change the range that I'm looking at, right? Because if, for example, a day like this, what if the range was just a little bit smaller? What if I had caught this trade? Would the numbers have worked out well? Okay, well, I can go ahead and test that, right? Because once that change, everything changes, right? Everything changes. So I'll go ahead and set it. So instead of the trade line distance being 300, I'm going to set it to 275. Now watch the dashboard up here. When I hit OK, boom, it back tests it. Okay, now we've taken 16 trades. We've got a 2.4 profit factor and 75% win rate. Well, that's even better. So if I'm going to take a trade, I'd rather take this trade than the previous one. Right? So what if we moved it down a little bit further? What if we went to 270? Let's see how it changes. Okay, now we've dropped down to 13 trades, 1.7 profit factor. Our win rate drops off significantly. So we'd be better off using 275. You can see the dashboard there rather than 270. And that's how I started noticing that's how small the difference could be, right? I was testing 100 and then 200, and that would take me a week. And I might not know that, and that 275 might be the right one.
Huh.
So, sorry, that scared me. He yelled, "What?" I was like, "What?" But anyway, so gets to 275. So right here, if we change it to 265, let's watch the data. Drops to 73, but the profit factor goes up to 3.4. So you have the ability to backtest that. Now, for example, right here, why did it not take a trade? Because it's going to pop up as an indicator. It's going to show you where to put your stop and where to put your TP. So right here, if we move the time, so right now it's between 9:30 and 11. So you can see it's 1 hour behind right here. So if I change it You see it's moving that window. Boom. Now it's taking that trade. And some of them are based on time. So for example, right here, that got to 1600, 4 o'clock into the day. So it would have had you close that trade. You can see you got in the short here. This one was a 1-to-1, so it is a bit larger, but this is one of the swing models. And so you can see right there, we know that this trade has a 75% chance to win, which you have to factor in. It might not always hit the TP, but it still won. It was in profit when it closed. And so that's all it's tracking. And so it pulls it up here. So like if we wanted to go look at the performance, we can scroll through and see how it performed essentially right here. So it's showing you the back tested results. So that's just one of the systems, and that's more of like a swing system. So we also have right here a fast scalper. So the fast scalper is a little bit more time frame sensitive. So like if we're going down to the 1 minute, you can see it starts picking up the trade frequency. So let's pick a larger time. Let's say 9 to noon. So for this strategy, you can see we have about a 43%. If you remember, I was saying 45, it's kind of passable. But we need at least a 2.0 or better for the scalping system. So for example, it gave a long signal right here on that candle. And so what you would have done when you got that long signal was you would have set it there. You would have put your stop at the red line. You would have put your TP at the green line. And so we have this one set at a 3-to-1. So it'd be right about there. So that'd be your 3-to-1 setup. And again, it pops this up for you. When the signal pops up, you can also set an alert. So, and we have these settings saved. So these are settings that we continually use. So we can say, okay, 9 to 12, we're going to close all open trades. That's not on right now because it closed at 1. And then, so right here, we could even change the statistics, right? To see if maybe we should have taken a different trade. So right here, there's an EMA in this system. So we could change that again. What if we used a 50 EMA? What do the stats look like? Well, they got way worse. So we're probably better off with a 6, right? Now, what if we used 100? Well, the stats still got worse. So we're probably better off with a 6. Now, the TP that we're setting, we could say, okay, well, instead of taking a 3-to-1, what if we took a 2-to-1 right there? Well, the stats didn't really get any better. 43% versus, or 43% on a 1.7 versus 43% on a 2.4. That's a massive difference. So what if we just took 1-to-1s? Profit factor not passable, current win rate's close. But you can see that 3-to-1 makes a lot of difference. What about 4-to-1? You can see it starts dropping down again. We lose on the win rate and we drop off on the profit factor. So
Tyler,
yeah.
sorry to cut you off. So, real quick, what I've been seeing you doing, what we all been seeing you doing is that you basically want to the most important factor right now is the profit factor, which would be a 2.0 and above, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, basically, I've been seeing you like play with the settings in these things. With that being said, will you guys will figure out, or excuse me, I'm just asking the question.
Mm-hmm.
You guys will figure out the settings that we would need to get that profit factor, or would it be on us to?
So we're going to have settings each week. That's the point of kind of doing it, excuse me, as a community. But we'll have settings for you. Like, hey, these are the settings that we're using right now to get this number, right? And then as things change, we're going to be updating that. Hey, these settings aren't working as well. We're moving to these. And so that's kind of the benefit, though, is as you don't want to be trading a strategy that isn't performing at the moment, right? And so if you don't have a way to backtest its performance, then you can't really understand how it's performing. If you can't backtest it in real time, consistently and with ease.
Got you. Got you.
Kind of like I said, because there's just so many differences, or there's so many fine-tuned things that can make a difference. Like we can mess with time, what time is doing. We can mess with what price is doing, right? And so when we add all those factors, if we change this by 1 minute, right, because it goes down, like we could say nine. We'll just use this for now, 9:15, right? And it'll change the whole. You see what I'm saying? Everything about it changes just by changing it by 15 minutes. And so that's how sensitive the charts can be, but you're not seeing that in real time if you're just trading your strategy. And if you do see it, you're not seeing it until it's too late after you're trying to come back with your strategy, but it's not even performing well right now. Which is why we've built multiple too, because with the settings that they don't always work for one strategy. There might be no settings that are working right now, but we could just hop to another one, and we can say, okay, what's working with this different setup with these settings. So let's try the same time, 9 to 1. This is a different system. So let's see, this one's doing 50% with a 1.1. That's not good enough. Let's change the EMA. Let's go to a 25. So not much difference. And again, I'm looking up here at the numbers. And so if I can't find any settings that are lining up with what I'm trying to do, then I'm not going to trade anything. See, like the closest I could get, this is the best one, 34% and a 1.0 profit factor. So either I need to change the time or I need to trade a different system right now. And I could try to tighten up the window, like say if we traded later, say 11:30 to 2. How does that? And see, it gets worse. Maybe let's try earlier. But you see what I'm saying? You can back test in real time and see. And for this one, this is over a lot of trades too. You're going over hundreds of trades instantly, right? So let's do an even smaller window. So this system, we have settings that we like, but for just a first glance, they're not looking that great. Now, with
So
this
one,
system, I kind of like it's kind of helpful to show you that just shopping for the deals and why the guidance is important too. This system is built for the 15-minute. So we're only going to shop for this one on the 15-minute. So if we start looking at the numbers, let's go back to 9 to, let's try 9 to 12, and we start getting something better. Let's see. And you can just shop through data, see what's working. This one doesn't seem to be having anything that's significant for these times. Let's try it later in the day. Yeah, so like this system, I'm not getting over a 50% win rate, and I'm not getting a profit factor that's close to what I want. So I would just opt to pass on this system right now. Maybe come back when it's working a little better.
so effectively, Tyler, the way that certain people have been taught to back test since you've been using the system is basically a waste of time. The way that we was taught to essentially back test at this point.
To like doing it by hand.
Yeah, basically, or basically
I wouldn't
having
say it's pointless, but I would say doing it this way is kind of obsolete in comparison. It's not like pointless. You're still going to gain something from it. You're going to have to keep doing it, if that makes sense. Like that's why I got so frustrated with doing it, is because it takes a lot of work, and I was spending 90% of the time not even trading, but just looking at data. And I really wasn't getting much done with it either. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't pivot fast enough. But now it's a lot easier to see. Essentially, my vision has gotten better as far as my trades. We have another setup here. But that is essentially what we are doing. And there's a couple systems that I can't show you, but they are, I'm under NDA for a couple systems. So, but that every system in here is pretty solid though. I will say that. And some of them kind of like the 15-minute reversal. I think that that one works actually better on S&P too. Let me see. See if I can just get better numbers real quick. Doesn't seem like it. Let me drop it down. Yeah, so this one is just really not producing that much right now. The fast scalper was doing well, and this trader does okay, but we just have to fix some of the settings. That way we can adjust the stops a little more. But this one's going to be a really cool system too. It's just this one just has one setup on it right now, but it's going to be a whole. This one's going to be a whole trading system, and I'm definitely excited to keep working on this one. But does anyone have any other questions? Anything that I can answer for you?
Question. So just being in the signals group, what ways can I, obviously I'm not in the algo group, but what ways can I, I guess do my homework, do my like back test, just being in the signals group for now.
Okay, so I mean, the signals group, like you pretty much have a system. So the signals group is just our settings. So like it's our system and it's plugged up to the settings that meet our criteria, and then we just turn the bot on. Right? So like, okay, so for example, this one fits, right? So we would turn this bot on and we'd turn it on D1 VIP model. It's got a 63% win rate that passes. It's got a 1.4 profit factor. That's right next to there, but it's close. It's over 33 trades. So we know it's got a good amount of time behind it. And then it would send. So like, for example, you could set an alert right here. And all you do is create alert. You go right here. You can put a name on it. We'll just call this one the D1 VIP NQ on the Zoom. And then we put in right here, we go to our D1 VIP model. And so it has the current settings that were on it. So you could see 830 to 1300 right there, 830, 1300. And we create an alert. And now whenever that alert triggers, it's going to ping my email, my computer, and my phone. So all we've done is take that same alert and send it to the signals group. So you'd get the signal right here when it's taken the long. It's telling you place the limit there. You'd place it there. You'd put your stop right there. And you'd put your TP up here. And then when the market closed at 4, you'd get an alert sent to your phone saying close your entry at break even. And with the stop, man, that's been a big thing with it too, is you just have to trust that the data is correct. Because man, it's been so many times where it either got close to my stop and didn't hit me, or it got right next to my TP and didn't hit it by like barely anything. It just barely missed it and then comes back and I close it and then it runs the TP. So it's like you have to trust the data, but like that's the purpose of the back test. And when it lines it up for you, it's easy to just walk away and wait for the next alert. So that's how I would say that the signals are going to It's going to be essentially the same thing without you having to really do all the research yourself. And so like the signals, for example, the what is generating that alert is constantly changing. Next week, we're going to look at the same data. If it doesn't meet the same criteria, then we're going to delete that alert and then put a new one in. Is that making sense?
Yes, sir. Last question for me.
Mhm.
So regarding this setup right now, it's in the morning time, and for whatever reason I'm scared or whatever the case may be. My best bet is just to say, let me just take profit on that tweezer, right? Before it drags all the way down
I
at
mean
around like
that's up to you, but like I said, I think it's better to trust the numbers because there are going to be times where you take a trade here and it stops you out. But if you took a little bit of profit here, yeah, in this case scenario, it closed early. But what about how many case scenarios didn't close early? Because at that point, you might as well just change your take profit and test a smaller range. You know what I'm saying?
where
But yeah, so like the data on it, like this one here, it ran the stop just by like this one piece. And it would have been better to like, for example, I mean, yes, to answer your question in short, yes. Like just using this as an example, this wasn't the trade that I took, but I took a trade and it had the stop here and the TP like down here. And I saw it was kind of trending. And so I closed it early right here. And then I set a limit order right there and it ran through the stop. So then I closed that. So there are scenarios where it's like, I'm kind of like gaming the system in my favor, but I personally, I think it's a bad habit. I think it's better if I just leave it alone and let the system do what it does, you know, and with as little manual intervention as possible. There are times where I see something, I step in, like I just said, but yeah, so like this one here, I see the same thing. 4 o'clock, it closed it. Now it's telling you to close it, but what if you just saw that and you put your stop right there? Well, guess what? It never would have came back and it could have kept running. You could have kept holding that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you don't have to follow it perfectly, but like you might as well because the data is positive unless you do it in a no lose situation where you just set your stop loss where your TP would have closed at. But yeah, a couple more examples. It's not winners every day. There was like 3 losers in a row, and then you get big winner. And then another winner. And then I think this one closed at, yeah, this one closed at break even. But anyway, that's the systems. Does anyone have any other questions? Cool. Well, I'll show you guys the signals group. So right here, you can see these are some of the signals that have been coming through. So this is our medium risk one. So most of these are either going to be break even or TP. It has a higher win rate, but it is kind of in and out. These are more high risk. These are scalping. You're going to be getting a handful of signals a day. It's been on for like 3 days now. And then you have your lower risk signals where you're going to have less trades, but they're going to be much higher risk. And so the way it's going to send it today, it sent this one here. So it's telling you short on NQ at this price. Put your TP here, your stop loss here. And then once it gets to this level, that's when you move your trade to break even. And again, that's all data. Everything that none of this is really our decision, right? It's data that's coming to this. It's that system. And then right here, let you know the stop loss got hit. right? So it didn't make it to the break even and it didn't make it to TP. It ended up hitting. And then yeah, like Cam even posted, wow, stop got ran by 1 tick. That's probably that one that I was talking about earlier where it like ran that stop barely and then turned around heavy, but that's the game we play.
All three signals are scalps and uh, uh are both are mixed both.
The high risks are scalps. The medium risk is essentially a scalp, but it's only one time during the day. And then the low risk signals are a mix of scalps and swings, but they're only from the highest data. We got to have like at least a 60% win rate and close to a 2.0 profit factor for those. Cool. Anyone, any other questions? Anything that I can help you with before I go eat some dinner? Ten more seconds of awkward silence.
I appreciate you, T, for showing this, man.
Of course, man, of course. All right, y'all. Well, hope that you learned a little bit more about what we're doing. We have launched. Yeah, this recording will be posted. But we have launched. So if you wanted to check us out, just go to my website. It's in my bio as well. Yeah, no problem. I'll try to upload it tomorrow morning. I definitely won't upload it tonight, but it should be coming sometime tomorrow morning. All right, y'all. Appreciate you being in here. Thanks for all your questions. Talk to you soon. Peace.